Picture this. A single human standing alone in a clearing, facing down nearly 100 Azeri soldiers encased in advanced exoskeletons and armed with the finest weapons their arsenal could provide. Hovercraft and drones hover menacingly overhead, all weapons trained on this solitary figure, holding nothing but a primitive wooden staff carved from local materials. Captain Ixara stands at the front of her troops, her jade-green eyes sharp as monomolecular blades, her elvish features hardened with determination. Her long blue hair flows around her pink-tinged skin as she calls across the clearing. "Surrender now, human. You're outnumbered." The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. Her soldiers wait with fingers hovering over triggers, ready for her command. A silence stretches, and then the human finally speaks his words, sending an involuntary shiver down Ixara's spine. "Outnumbered? Perhaps I am, but so are you. What kind of response is that?" Ixara thinks. One word from her, and this man would become nothing more than scattered atoms. Yet he stands defiant. She needs him alive, though. She has questions that demand answers about who's funding these eco-terrorist activities against Azeri Authority. As her finger hovers over her comm unit, ready to order a non-lethal takedown, something strange happens. First comes a chittering sound, low and constant, almost like laughter from dozens of throats. Then a deep rumble travels through the ground, felt even through her reinforced combat boots. Her tactical display begins registering movement signatures, dozens, then hundreds, blooming across the forest line, like blood spreading through water. The impossible truth strikes her. Somehow, this lone human has tamed the local fauna. And before she can act, the battlefield erupts into pure chaos. From every direction, creatures pour into the clearing like a living flood. The first wave consists of ambush predators with adaptive camouflage that would make Azeri stealth tech jealous, shifting from bark brown to grass green as they bound forward on 6 powerful legs. Behind them come massive tank-like creatures walking fortresses, covered in natural armor made of compressed stone and mineral deposits. The third type overwhelms through sheer numbers hundreds of creatures with impossibly long necks and wide mouths, flowing across the battlefield like a river of flesh and scale. Ixara shouts commands. Form defense circles. Concentrate fire on the large ones. But her words are lost in the madness. Through the chaos, she sees her soldiers firing wildly, their disciplined formations shattered. Reports crackle through her comms of downed hovercraft, overwhelming numbers, and systems unable to get a lock on anything. Then she spots him, the human, riding one of the tank creatures, weaving through the battlefield directly toward her. With trained precision, she draws her energy pistol and fires, but the creature beneath him moves with surprising agility, banking left to avoid her shot. She fires again, leading the target, but the human ducks low against the creature's neck, using its bulk as cover. As the tank creature thunders past her, she dives and comes up in a perfect 3-point crouch, pistol raised, but too late. The human has jumped from his mount at the last possible second, using its bulk to mask his approach. His hands grab her wrist with crushing force and wrap around her waist like steel. Cable. She triggers her exoskeleton's strength boost, but he's already lifting her, using her own momentum against her. With surprising strength, he heaves her onto the back of the tank creature that has circled back, then vaults up behind her. "My apologies, Captain," he says calmly, his breath warm against her ear. "But we need to have a conversation away from all this noise." The creature lurches into motion, accelerating with impossible speed toward the forest line, leaving the battlefield behind. Ixara has no choice but to hold on as they race away, the sounds of combat fading behind them. "This is kidnapping," she shouts over the rushing wind. "My soldiers will hunt you down. The entire Azeri fleet will. Your soldiers are a bit busy right now." The human replies with infuriating calmness. Looking back, she sees he's right. The clearing is complete chaos. For 20 minutes they travel deeper into the alien forest, following paths invisible to her eyes, ducking under branches that would have decapitated her if not for the human's warning. Hand on her shoulder. The forest grows strange and beautiful bioluminescent fungi, creating patches of green light, flowers tracking their movement. Finally, they reach a massive ancient tree with a structure built elegantly into its trunk, merging with the living wood rather than imposing upon it. "What do you want?" she demands as they dismount, her hand moving to her backup weapon. "If you think you can use me as leverage," but the human has turned away, seemingly unconcerned about her threat. He strokes the tank creature's massive head, speaking to it gently. The creature makes a sound like an avalanche trying to purr before lumbering off into the forest. "Thank you, old friend," the human says warmly. Only then does he turn to face her, and Ixara gets her first real look at him. Dark hair that needs cutting, sun-weathered skin, eyes the color of earth coffee. There are scars too, old ones from wildfire rather than warfare. "Captain Ixara, wasn't it?" he asks, though they both know he knows exactly who she is. "I brought you here because I need to show you something." "Show me?" She laughs bitterly. "You kidnapped an Azeri military officer, attacked my entire unit just to show me something? Would you have come if I'd simply asked?" They both know the answer. "My name is Leon," he continues. "Leon Castelli, and despite what your intelligence reports probably say, I'm not a terrorist, Captain. I'm a xenobiologist. Or I was before your people decided this planet didn't need one. You attacked our operations, sabotaged equipment worth millions of credits. That makes you someone trying to prevent an extinction event," he interrupts, his calm finally cracking to show heat beneath. That night, Leon leads her through the forest to a lake that takes her breath away. Lake Quieta stretches before them like a mirror full of galaxies, not reflections, but the water itself glowing with life. Schools of luminescent fish create rivers of light beneath the surface, forming artistic patterns. Plants with transparent leaves show their glowing veins in the shallow waters, each a different color: blue, green, gold, purple. By the ancients, she breathes involuntarily, drawing a soft chuckle from Leon. "Beautiful, isn't it? This is Lake Quieta, one of the few places your terraforming chemicals haven't reached yet." Here she meets Noodle, a small creature with a body the size of a domestic earth cat, but with an absurdly long prehensile tail 5 times its body length. The creature investigates her curiously before flowing up to rest on Leon's shoulder. Through the night, Leon shows her the incredible biodiversity of the lake creatures that communicate, hunt, and court using bioluminescence. To her surprise, Ixara finds herself sharing stories of her childhood on Azir Prime, where cities floated above endless clouds. "You weren't always a soldier," Leon observes. "No, I was a surveyor first, not unlike you. But the military paid better ... As dawn approaches, Leon leads her to another lake, and the contrast is devastating. She smells it before seeing it. The absence of life has its own scent. Sterile, chemical, wrong. The second lake is black, not the living darkness of night, but the black of void. No lights dance beneath its surface. No creatures move on its shores. The only illumination comes from the red moon above, turning the water the color of old blood. "Runoff pipe," Leon says simply, pointing to an Azeri-manufactured pipe with corporate markings still visible. "Azeri Colonial Development Building Better Worlds." He explains exactly what the chemicals do, how they disrupt the cellular membranes of native organisms, causing them to literally dissolve from the inside out. "This lake was more alive than Quieta," he says, pain evident in his voice. "I remember it clearly. I had a camp right there where I spent 3 months documenting nocturnal spawning behaviors. There was a species of fish here that existed nowhere else on the planet. All gone now. Walking to the water's edge despite her armor's biohazard alarms, Ixara's datapad confirms Leon's claims. She thinks of the reports she'd read, the assurances from her superiors, that environmental impact was minimal, acceptable, necessary for progress. They'd lied, or been lied to, or simply hadn't cared enough to verify. How many? She asks quietly. How many lakes like this? 30 that I know of. 3 major river systems. He shows her his documentation time-lapse videos of lakes dying, the light going out day by day, beaches covered in rotting fish, forests of kelp analogs withering to nothing. This planet looks tough on the surface, but it's actually very sensitive, and that's why humanity never truly claimed it. We knew we would destroy it, even with all our modern tech. As she sits beside the dead lake, the weight of knowledge crushes down on Ixara. Not just the weight of her armor, but the terrible truth of what her people have done and what she has been complicit in. All night, she stares at Leon's data, cross-referencing his findings with her armor's sensors. Every data point confirms what he's shown her. As the first violet rays of dawn illuminate the scene, a cold, crystalline rage burns within her, not at Leon, but at the admirals and corporate liaisons who sent her here with lies about acceptable environmental impact and minimal native die-off. She had been a proud soldier of the Azeri, a protector of their interests. Now she sees she had merely been their enforcer, silencing the truth with the barrel of a plasma rifle. She stands, the servos in her armor whining softly in the quiet morning, the weight on her shoulders immense. Your data, she says, her voice hard and raspy. I need a complete copy. She looks toward the distant glimmer of the Azeri orbital station, her path now clear. I will take this to the Federation High Council. They might not believe you, but they will believe the words of an Azeri like me. She knows it will cost her everything, her rank, her reputation, perhaps even her freedom. She will be branded a traitor by her own people. But as the sun rises higher over a dying world, she knows it's the only honorable command left to follow. The story then jumps forward. Days have passed in a blur of interrogations and sterile silence. Ixara sits in a cell, the exoskeleton gone, replaced with a loose-fitting gray prisoner's uniform. Her once kempt blue hair hangs limp, framing a face pale with exhaustion. Only her jade-green eyes still hold the same fire, but now it's the cold fire of rebellion. Not duty. She has become a scapegoat in a masterful political maneuver. After transmitting Leon's unredacted data directly to the Federation High Council, bypassing her chain of command, the Azeri leadership moved quickly to create a new narrative. Captain Ixara suffered a psychotic break, fabricated evidence of environmental damage, attacked her own troops, and allowed the terrorist, Leon Castelli, to escape. The irony is suffocating. She is imprisoned not for the act of treason that has doomed the colonization effort under Federation pressure, but for failing to capture the one man telling the truth. In a final twist, the Azeri have dropped all charges against Leon, painting him as a mere hermit, caught in the crossfire of her rampage. As she sits on her hard cot, a wave of fury washes over her, directed at the cold-faced admirals and smiling corporate executives who used her loyalty as a weapon. But as the anger subsides, a colder truth remains. She blames herself too. She had been naive, so eager to climb the ranks that she never stopped to ask hard questions. She had accepted convenient lies because the truth would have been an obstacle to her career. With her eyes closed, imagining a future in a high-security penal colony, she hears something unexpected alow, constant chittering, almost like muffled laughter. Her eyes snap open, scanning the cell. The noise comes from the ventilation grate high on the wall. Standing on her cot, she peers through the slats to find 2 enormous luminous eyes blinking back at her from the darkness. "Noodle?" she whispers in disbelief. The creature chitters happily, and to her amazement, His absurdly long prehensile tail snakes forward through the grate, dangling a ring of metallic keys. With shaking hands, she catches the keys and moves to the door. When the key slides into the lock, the door opens with a soft click. Adrenaline surges through her as years of training take over. Moving like a shadow, she bypasses the few guards on duty and emerges through a service exit into the humid night air. The scene before her reveals a frantic organized retreat, the colonization effort being dismantled, cargo haulers and military transports lifting into the sky in a steady stream. Her evidence had worked. She had one dot at the edge of the forest, stands Leon, giving her a slow wave of invitation. Beside him, Noodle perches on the back of the massive rock-armored creature she had ridden before. The choice lies before her, a life as a fugitive on a world she helped save, or a return to her people to face imprisonment. But it isn't really a choice at all. With the sounds of the Azeri retreat fading behind her, Exara runs away from the gray walls and the lies, toward the deep, living darkness of the forest. Her future is a mystery, a path unwritten in the stars. But for the first time in her life, she feels truly prepared to face it. The story of Exara and Leon is not just about environmental devastation or military conflict. It's about finding truth when it's been buried beneath layers of convenient lies. It's about the courage to face that truth, even when it costs you everything you thought you valued. And most of all, it's about discovering that sometimes being outnumbered isn't about counting soldiers or weapons, but about understanding the true weight of life that surrounds us all. As the Azeri ships disappear into the atmosphere, carrying with them the last remnants of their failed colonization, a new chapter begins in the forests of this resilient world. Exara has exchanged her exoskeleton for freedom, her blind loyalty for clear-eyed purpose. The path ahead will be difficult. She is now a stranger in a strange land, but she is no longer alone. She has Leon's knowledge, Noodle's friendship, and most importantly, the living, breathing ecosystem of a planet that now has a fighting chance at survival. And somewhere in the depths of that forest, beside a lake that glows with countless living lights, a former Azeri captain begins to learn what it truly means to build better worlds.